When I woke, it was dead night. The moon was full and sitting between the horns of two hills. There was a sprinkling of stars overhead, and Mama began to move the ground beneath me, trying to rise. The garlic strands must have worried her, for she did not come out of the earth all at once. It was the scrabbling of her long nails at my back that woke me. I leaped off that grave and was wide awake. Standing aside the grave, I watched as first her long gray arms reached out of the earth, then her head, with its hair that was once so gold, now gray and streaked with black, and its shroud eyes, emerged. Then her body in its winding sheet, stained with dirt and torn from walking to and fro upon the land. Then her bare feet with blackened nails. Though alive, Mama used to paint those nails, her one vanity, and Papa allowed it, seeing she was so pretty and otherwise not vain. She turned toward me like a hummingbird toward a flower, and when she raised her face, it was gray and bony. Her mouth peeled back from her teeth, and I saw that they were pointed, and her tongue was barbed. "Mama's gone," I said in Bubba's voice, but so low I could hardly hear it myself. She stepped toward me off that grave, lurching down the hump of dirt. But when she got close, the garlic strands and the cross stayed her. "Mama?" She turned her head back and forth. It was clear that those black shroud eyes didn't allow her to see anything. She only sensed me there, something warm, something alive, something with the blood running like satisfying streams through the blue veins. "Mama," I said again, "try and remember." That awful, searching face turned back towards me again, and the pointy teeth were bared once more. She reached out her hands towards me to grab me, then pulled them back. "Remember how Bubba always sucks his thumb with that funny little noise that you always said was like a little chuck in its hole? And how Suki hums through her nose when she bakes bread? And how I listen to your belly to hear the baby? And how Papa always starts each meal with the blessing on things that grow fresh in the field?" The gray face turned toward the hills, and I wasn't even sure she could hear me, but I had to keep trying. "And remember the day we went blueberry picking, and Bubba fell down the hill, head end over, and we laughed until we hurt him, and he kept saying the same 6 things over and over till long past bed?" The gray face turned back toward me, and I thought I saw a bit of light in the eyes, but it was just reflected moonlight. "And the day Papa came home with the new ewe lamb, and we fed it on a sugar teat, you stayed up all the night, and I slept in the straw by your side. It was as if stars were twinkling in those dead eyes. I couldn't stop staring, but I didn't dare stop talking either. And remember the day the bluebird sunned itself on the kitchen window, and you held it in your hand. You warmed it to life, you said. To life, Mama." Those stars began to run down the gray cheeks. "There's living, Mama, and there's dead. You've given so much life. Don't be bringing death to these hills now." I saw that the stars above her head were gone, and the moon was setting. "Papa loved you too much to cut your hands and feet. You gotta return that love, Mama. You gotta." Veins of red ran along the hillside, outlining the rocks. As the sun began to rise, I took off one strand of garlic, then the second, and then the last. I opened my arms wide, Have you come back, Mama, or are you gone? The gray woman leaned down and clasped me tight in her arms, her head bent down toward mine, her mouth on my forehead, my neck, the outline of my little gold cross burning across her lips. She whispered, "Here and gone, child, here and gone," in a voice like wind in the coppice, like the shaking of willow leaves. I felt her kiss on my cheek, a brand. Then the sun came between the hills and hit her full in the face, burning her as red as earth. She smiled at me, and then there was only dust motes in the air, dancing. I looked down at my feet. The grave dirt was hardly disturbed, but Mama's gold wedding band gleamed atop it. I knelt down and picked it up, unhooking the chain holding my cross. I slid the ring onto the chain, and the two nestled together right in the hollow of my throat. That was when I cried, long and loud, a sound I hope never to make again as long as I live. Then I went back down the hill and home, where Papa was still waiting by the open door.